50% off. Yet no one wanted to bid on the silent Apache slave, until one cowboy raised his hand. No one ever forgot the day she stood on that platform, silent, broken, and priced like an unwanted tool. The auctioneer yelled again, voice cracking with irritation, 50% off. Half price, and still, not a single hand rose. She stared at the dusty ground, shackles bruising her wrists, as the crowd whispered cruel things. Too quiet, probably trouble, worthless without a tongue to speak. They didn't know her story. They didn't care. Her name was Ayanna, Eternal Blossom. But after a raid tore her village apart, that name felt like a lie. Soldiers killed her father, dragged her mother away, and beat her so badly she lost her voice. Now she was just lot number 27, a silent Apache slave. The sun boiled overhead, flies buzzed. The world watched as a girl was offered like a broken horse. Ayanna didn't look up, not because she was ashamed, but because her spirit was exhausted. She had stopped hoping for mercy a long time ago. That's when a shadow stepped forward. A lone cowboy, dust-covered boots, worn hat, and eyes filled with something no one else had, kindness. His name was Caleb Turner, a man who'd lost his own family in a cholera outbreak years back. He'd come to sell cattle, not adopt a stranger. But the sight of that girl, so young, so defeated, hit him deep. The auctioneer smirked. One cowboy willing to take the risk. Sold. The crowd murmured mockingly. Caleb ignored them. When he cut the rope binding her arms, she flinched, a reaction born from too many beatings. "You're safe," he whispered. She didn't believe a word of it. He helped her onto his horse. She sat stiff, eyes scanning for danger. Every sound made her flinch. But Caleb rode slow, speaking gently even though she never answered. He called her Ayanna after reading the small piece of beaded cloth tied around her wrist, the only thing left from her tribe. When they reached his ranch, she looked around anxiously. No guards, no cages, no angry men barking orders. Just open fields and a small, quiet home. Caleb gave her fresh blankets, food, and a room of her own. The first night, she didn't sleep, certain punishment was coming. But punishment never came. Days passed, then weeks. Ayanna watched Caleb rise before dawn to feed cattle. She followed him silently, helping with chores without being asked. At night, she would sit by the corral, staring at the stars, holding back the memories that clawed through her mind. One morning, Caleb found her tending to an injured foal. She worked carefully, her hands skillful. The horse calmed under her touch. Caleb smiled. "You're stronger than you think," he said softly. Ayanna paused, then gave the tiniest nod. The first connection. Still, nightmares hunted her. Some nights, Caleb heard muffled gasps. Screams trapped behind silence. He would sit outside her door, waiting until she calmed. He never intruded, never forced words from her lips. Slowly, she healed. But peace rarely lasts. One harsh winter morning, armed raiders rode up, men who once captured and sold her people. They recognized her instantly. "That's the Apache girl from last year. She belongs to us." Belongs. The words sliced into her. Caleb stepped between them. "She's free," he said firmly. The raiders laughed. "A slave can't be free." Guns lifted. The air tightened. Ayanna trembled. Not with fear, but rage. Her voice had been stolen, but not her courage. She grabbed a burning log from the fire pit and struck first, wild, fearless. Caleb fired his rifle. Hooves thundered as the raiders fled, shouting threats that they'd return. Shaking, Ayanna collapsed to her knees. Tears streamed silently. Caleb knelt beside her. "You are not property," he said with conviction. "You don't belong to me, you belong to yourself." For the first time since the raid, Ayanna looked directly into someone's eyes. Trust flickered, small but real. Spring came. She smiled more, small, fragile smiles. She began humming old tribal songs, soft, wordless, but full of memory. Her strength returned like blossoms after winter. One evening, she found her courage fully again. Caleb handed her a small slate and chalk to communicate. But instead of writing, Ayanna pressed her hand to her heart then toward him. "Thank you," he nodded, eyes wet. "You saved me too," he whispered. Together, they planted new seeds in the garden. They rebuilt fences. They rebuilt lives. Caleb never tried to keep her, he helped her become strong enough to choose. Months later, she stood at the ranch gate, dressed in traditional clothing she had carefully remade. She carried a bow Caleb helped her craft. Her tribe, survivors who'd searched for their people, waited for her on the ridge. Caleb swallowed hard. "You're going home." Ayanna touched his hand and held it. Then, voice trembling but finally returning, she whispered, "Home is, both. Not slave, not silent, not unwanted, a warrior reborn." Message for the audience: even when the world tries to silence you, your spirit, your voice, still lives within you. Kindness can rescue a life, but courage sets it free.